Hello, thanks for joining me at Beadschool. I'm going to demonstrate odd count peyote. Let's have a look at what I'm going to be using. I've got size D Nymo thread, size 12 needle, and some contrasting size 8 seed beads. This is a different colour because we're going to use that as a stop bead, and of course some scissors. Alright, so here's what we do. I'm just going to cut a length of Nymo and set those aside and thread up. I'm going to pick up the stop bead first, and for those of you not sure what a stop bead is, it's there to stop the first beads that you pick up for your piece from dropping off the end. It's not going to be part of the design, and I'm going to pass the needle once again through it in the same direction so that we're left with a loop around the outside, and it's not going to fall off, and it's going to be very useful to stop these falling off. Pick up an odd number of beads because it's called odd count peyote. And for the purpose of demonstration, I'm going to pick up 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'll just check that. And I like to count in fives. 5, 10, 11. I'll just lay those down. And as with my demonstration of even count peyote, which you can take a look at here at this video, these beads may look like the first row, but they're not. They're the first 2 rows, and the next bead I pick up will be the first bead of the 3rd row. So pick up the bead, miss out one, pass through the next but one. Pick up one, miss out that bead and go through the next but one. Don't worry about them not lying properly yet, because they will as soon as I start getting more beads into the row. Pick up one, miss out one, and pass through the next but one. Now I think the best thing is if I hold it in my hand. So I'm just going to jiggle the beads up tighter together, snuggle up. I'm going to hold the tail thread in my hand and the beadwork squeeze between finger and thumb and lock the working thread behind. Keeps it out of the way, stops you from piercing it when you're putting the next stitch in, and also maintains a good tension. And I'm going to miss out the next bead and pass through the next but one. Miss out the next bead, pass through the next but one. Now, here we are at the other end, and I need to put another bead in, but I haven't got anywhere to put the needle. First of all, just have a little look there. I've just laid it down. When I put the next bead in, I'd really like it to be sitting there. If you can see, they're in an up-down formation. I call these little turrets because they're like the turrets on a medieval castle. So there isn't actually a turret bead for me to pass through. So the way to get round that is that we actually use the bead that's going to sit above the one I'm going to be putting in. So normally I would pass the needle through in this direction, but I'm actually going to pass through it in the opposite direction, and not just pass through one. I'm going to go through 2. Whoops. Not just through one. I'm going to go through 1, 2, 3. And so that is going to sit really nicely and evenly. Now, the thread will form almost a figure 8 formation, but it's not quite. So I've gone through diagonally those, and I'm going to jump up to the bead above that one, just go through 2, and ultimately I want to bring the needle out to do the new row, and I want to bring the needle to emerge from this side of this bead. So what I do is I pass through the one that's above it and then back down through that bead, and I'm ready for the new row. So they may look a little bit wiggly, but once the next row's in, it'll start taking proper shape and the beads will do what they're told. So I'm going to head down towards the other end, and the difference at the other end is that there is no wiggling around and almost figure eights. It's just a simple turn, exactly as you would have for even count peyote. So I'm going to pass through the turret beads, normal peyote, come to the end, and I've got a nice bead there ready waiting for me to pass through, and I just simply flip the beadwork over and start again. But when I come down to the other end, there'll be that odd wiggle wiggle turn. We're nearly there. So once again, no turret bead to pass through. So I'm going to pass through 1, 2, 3 beads. Just have to flip that one down there. So put it into place. Pass up through the one that's above this one I'm emerging from, just through 2 of them. Through the one that's above the bead I just put in place, and ready to go on. What we're going to do is just speed up the next 2 rows, because I want you to see a shortcut turn on the odd end, which will save you quite a bit of time. Now this turn will not only save you time, but it looks really pretty and neat. However, in order to master it, you've got to make sure you don't pull it too tightly, otherwise it can cause one of the sides of one side of the strip to pucker. But that can be useful. It depends on the pattern you're going to be doing. You may design something which needs a tight edge and a fanned out edge, so that's something to bear in mind. So instead of passing through 1, 2, 3, I'm actually going to use this thread between the beads here at the top. So actually what I'll do is I'll take the stop bead away, because that's in the way from stopping you seeing what's happening. The thread that's coming between the holes of these beads, I'm going to use that thread. I'm going to pass the needle under it, draw it through, so it's got a little bit of a loop, draw it through, put my bead into place with my finger, and then just pass back through it. And I haven't pulled very tight, you don't need to, you just need the thread to be spanning that space between the bead holes, and I'm ready for the new row. I'll just do that again. Here we are, and once more at this end, the odd turn end, and pass the needle underneath the thread, draw it through, and back down through it. So actually what you'll find is a very pretty long line of what looks like chain stitch between the beads. And there you have your odd count peyote. Take a look at the next video, because I'll be showing you how to put a little pattern into the odd count peyote. Thanks for joining me. See you soon.